So this is going to be a K-guard and Choi bar seminar. I'm going to go over the Choi bar first, and then the K-guard, and then at the end it's going to be like kind of how they mesh and mash together. So I think the moves are super overpowered, and it's mainly because of the accessibility to them. I think a lot of moves are like cool, but they're hard to get to. Like some people are bad at chasing the back, so they like the rear naked choke, but they're like, I'm never on people's back. So things like K-guard and Choi bar, you can do from almost anywhere, and that's what makes them so powerful. So Tyler, can I use you for this? I'm gonna try to stay in this lane relatively. We'll see how that works. Yeah, so actually the first thing that I want to show is this. What we're going to do is we're going to end up with an underhook on our partner to attack the Choi bar. But to practice this, and the way that I force this on people, and this is what I want you guys to get good at, is I want you to just 2-on-1 people's wrist, okay? And then from there, you're going to keep the cross grip. So this is my left arm, his left arm, so that's a cross grip. Initially, I'm going to 2-on-1 just so I have a good grip until I can solidify that good cross grip. And the second my cross grip is ready to go, I'm going over my wrist and under their arm. So on top of my wrist and under their arm. And now I'm reaching, and that's how I have my underhook. At the same time, I start to flare my elbow into their wrist, and my wrist starts to help push their rear delt forward. So 2-on-1, and as I go over, I start flaring, and then I connect the gable grip. And then we can start doing our Choi bars. But you can practice this standing like this, where you just make your 2-on-1, you keep the cross grip, and now I go over my wrist and under their arm. Because this is what we're gonna end up doing when we're on our backs and we're attacking. And now I'm gonna take my palm away from me as I start to flare my elbow. So my elbow flares as my hand comes down. And now I can release, and now I connect gable wrist over wrist, and now we can start attacking. But this is just the entrance, okay? So you can do it a couple times standing, getting into just the rhythm of like 2-on-1, keep the cross grip, you go over, and you're kind of like scraping wrist over wrists, and now you have it. And then once you do it from there, now all you do is, I'm gonna be on my back, knees to chest, and when my partner grabs my knees, I'm just gonna 2-on-1, I'm gonna use my feet to help me turn, I'm gonna keep my cross grip, and then I shoot over. As I shoot over for this one, my knee and my shin come all the way up into their face and their neck. As I release this, I'm catching, and I'm trying to finish this arm crush right here, okay? Whenever you do arm crushes, your goal is to trap their thumb on your neck and try to shrug your shoulder as you use your ear and your neck and your head to trap their wrist. And now what I do is I grab people's elbows, I turn it until it doesn't turn anymore, and now I just pull my own elbow on top, and that's my tap. Okay? So I'm looking for this arm crush. At the same time, I'm looking to keep my heel to my butt and extend my shin and my knee away to turn their head down, and now I can fire over the top. And now again, I can finish that same exact arm crush. Okay, and this right here is where the beauty of the Choi bar happens, because it's like 6 different submissions. He's gonna turn his thumb down towards his legs and his toes. So once it's down like this, I don't really have the arm crush anymore, but I can turn and now grab the thumb and pull it into my chest and just hip into a regular arm bar, right? If he bends his arm at 90 degrees, so he tucks his hand, now we just switch our grip, and now we have a Kimura, and now I'm starting to step on the hip to finish this Kimura. And if I end up putting my foot here or tucking my leg, and they start to drop their hip or tuck their hand under their stomach, as they sprawl this hip really hard, I start building, and then I'm looking to back step, and I'm taking my partner's back, and now I'm choking him. And I've done every single one of these live, literally within the last couple days, okay? So again, they make grips, I make grips. 2-on-1 until I have a good grip on the wrist, and now I swim. Okay, over mine, under theirs. My elbow's flaring, and I need to get this knee and this shin in their face. And now I release, and I start to try to finish this right here. If I just can't, but I have a good grip on the shoulder, I'm gonna pull the shoulder down, and I extend my knee away. And now we're firing right back into the arm crush. If they turn the thumb down, it becomes a traditional arm bar. If they bend it, Kimura. If they start to turn their hips, I go onto my head and I'm back stepping to the back. Okay. So this is the Choi bar sequence. So first, we'll drill this part. 2-on-1, swim, shoulder plant. 2-on-1, swim over, shoulder plant. Okay. Any questions on this? At least the setup. 2-on-1 is swimming, shoulder plant, that part. Any questions on that? No. It's really important you have that part down because this starts the sequence for everything else. And this is the thing that you can force. There were people that I told within the last week, I was like, hey, I'm going to Choi bar you during our roll. And then I would Choi bar them because this move is so powerful with this 2-on-1 setup specifically. Okay? So any questions on this one? No? Yeah.
Actually, with the 2-on-1, does it matter which hand goes on top?
As a personal preference, the cross grip, the one that's gonna stay, I keep on top so that it naturally goes over. Yeah, that's how I do mine. And a lot of the times, and I'll show this later, but like in half guard, I'll catch people's wrists like thumb up, and then I'll like crunch in, and now we have that position. Yeah. But yeah, 2-on-1, and now you're just swimming wrist over wrist, and as you flare your elbow, it starts applying like a Kimura tech pressure. And that's like the first part of control that I do on people, and then we'll talk about the grip and then the legs and all that afterwards. Questions on the setup? No? All right, let's get it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now when you're on your back, we're here, and I'm in a position like open guard. Initially, I can't really just immediately reach for the 2-on-1 because we've just barely made contact, and right now he's in like passing mode, and if I go into like reach for 2-on-1 mode, the odds are you're gonna get your guard passed. So the first like couple milliseconds of contact as they approach needs to be, the way that I think about it is I reach out with all 4 limbs and all 4 limbs grip. This is how I think about guard. So I load my knees to my chest. When they make contact, I make contact with all 4 limbs. My feet have to touch something. The sides of my feet, the bottoms of my feet have to make connection. Now that there's connection, I can feel where their body is, and now I can start looking for 2-on-1s, and now you can start setting things up from this open guard. But I need to have an initial moment where when they make contact with me, I make contact with them and my feet pummel, and then they catch. And once they catch, now I start looking for any variation of 2-on-1s. If you have a hand that's above your head, you're gonna take it like this. I always call this the burrito grip. And then you push it straight overhead, and you're gonna try to chase their thumb with your ear and your shoulder. And now immediately we start attacking that as that shin comes to the face. Okay? But this is really important for this Choi bars. I'm very knees to chest, and when they make grips, I make grips. And I start pummeling until my feet are touching them. Once both my feet are on, I can engage in Choi bar. I just find my 2-on-1, and now I'm swimming. And now my shin comes all the way into their neck, and rolling their shoulder forward, and then immediately I'm trying to finish this as like a Kimura armbar. The whole time I'm like scraping, trying to finish until it slaps me in the neck, and then I crush on the arm crush. Now, as this is happening, most people, and this is what happens at the higher levels, most people, they start to like put pressure on me because they can feel me trying to extend this arm, and it becomes harder. So now I need to focus on pulling their shoulder down to my belly button and pushing my knee away. This is what makes their head go down and my leg come on top of their back. And now I can fire over the top, and I can keep attacking. Okay?
I'll go back in the middle.
Yeah. So again, the initial contact, this part's super important, is connection. The initial contact is like guard retention for like 1.5 seconds until I can find my feet on him. So right now, I have 1 foot on him. I need to try to find a way to hook and catch the other foot. Once I have both feet, now I search for my 2-on-1s. Now I'm swimming. Now I search for a 2-on-1 that's like the burrito style, and now I pull onto my neck, grab the elbow, and I start looking for my arm crush. But the way that I do these from open guard is like an arm crush attack that leads into Choi bars. Okay? And this initial contact, if you miss this step, you won't enjoy doing it live because people will pass your guard all the time. But I do this all the time where I'm here, I'm already pummeling my feet, and I strip grips. Now that the grips are stripped, I start searching for 2-on-1s. I start searching for 2-on-1s. This one I'm placing. This one in front of me, I'm swimming. And now I'm flaring. And as I'm flaring, I release and it slips onto my neck, and I start trying to finish this. And if they drive into me, now I'm really focusing on pulling their shoulder down, the back of their rear delt, so I'm twisting it down, and now I extend my knee over the back of their head. Now I can fire over the top. Now I have arm crush, arm bar, kimura, back take. Okay? Questions on this? Initial contact when you're on your back?
I know you said like any kind of footwork, it's probably obvious, but is butterfly an option in there? Because that's kind of like my go-to, because I feel safe underneath them, but is that viable?
Yes, but remember, when I do these, I want to have like a shin and a knee in their neck. So as I cut my angle, see how my leg came out? So I couldn't keep my feet here for a long period of time. Like I couldn't keep them there while I'm doing it because now they can like back step one of them and like get around. Now they're like that. Yeah. Because I always want to try to have my connection. Now my legs are doing all the holding. I'm hooking. I'm almost like pinching them with my feet, and then I'm just sliding down until they kind of stop naturally. And once I feel like I'm connected, I can start like reaching and hunting stuff. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I don't really want to try to intentionally go to double butterflies because this position is, it's a good passing position for them. I want to catch them here and start reaching. And when they start ripping away is when we're going to get to the K-guard part of the seminar. Okay? Yeah.
Like Ryan, I do use double under butterfly hook. So initially, if we do have to do that to set ourselves up in position and mark them the way they want, that's okay. But once you start going, you need to.
So if you're really a big butterfly player, then what I would recommend is anytime people are passing on their knees, go to your knees. When you're in butterfly, is you search for the 2-on-1.
Okay.
And now I'll step on people's knee as I reach. And this helps me start to like stretch their base out. And now I'm like locking my feet on them. And then immediately I'm into that whole sequence. But again, this is the beauty of the position is this can be done from anywhere basically. I'll even show a variation that you can do on top if you want to see it. But like all I need is that 2-on-1. So if I'm a big butterfly player, then I need to be here hand fighting. There's my 2-on-1. Now I'm starting to step on the hips as I found that little weave where I had my cross grip and I came here and now I have the good bite and I'm ready to fire on. Same thing, if I'm gonna play here in half guard, I might as well show this one now. If I play here in half guard, right, by all means you can reach up and do kimuras and stuff, but especially against good guys, and I'll do this sequence all the time now because I know the Choi bar game is, I'll grab people's wrists like I'm gonna kimura them. And then all of them, they do the same thing, they pull their elbow to their hip. And when they do that, I grab that 2-on-1 and I push their wrist into their stomach and then to their hip. And now I'm there, and then I just frame the neck. And now I'm onto my Choi bars. Okay, so like I grab the wrist because I want this. And they're smart, they tuck their elbow. Now the elbow's strong, I can't pull on the elbow. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna 2-on-1 the wrist, I'm gonna push it straight into their belly button, and then I keep pushing. And now I keep the cross grip, and again, look, now we're on, and I use my forearm until my knee can replace. Now we're on to the Choi bar sequence. Okay, so this is kind of like, open guard when they're standing, they're on the knees, half guard, even closed guard if you ever catch a 2-on-1 from closed guard. Like, I will do this because I chase people's back all the time. And then they'll rip their elbow backwards, and now I push the wrist, and then I shoot, and now there's my shoulder crunch. I use my legs, and now I palm the head down, and now we're right back to our Choi bars. So all from that 2-on-1 that we warmed up with. Questions on how to do the Choi bar from any guard?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So we did open guard with you like on your back, right? What if we're open guard with you on your butt and I haven't got you to your back yet?
Then right here, I'm usually looking for finger grips with people, but if you don't like doing that, I'm looking for wrist grips. And once I find one good one, I reach for my 2-on-1 and I fall back as I pull and my feet come up. So what ends up happening is I'm here hand fighting. until I can make a good connection. Here's my 2-on-1. I'm gonna pull, and as I pull, I'm gonna push my feet down, almost like I'm trying to stand up. And then I pull myself to my butt, and then immediately I start attacking. And this happens where as I find my connection, you can just immediately fire into it from this like super distanced position. And you can, if you can get your legs up, depending on your flexibility, the power of the position is that your legs are keeping them away while we do this basically shoulder crushing arm bar. Okay, so even if it's a really big person, they're way bigger than you, this move still works because your legs are doing all the weight control. Your arms just turn their shoulder, that's all that's happening. Okay, that makes sense though for the open guard. I'm here looking for 2-on-1. I'm hand fighting, there's my 2-on-1. Now, I could even do it like this and fire up. Obviously this is gonna be part of the K-guard part, but it leads into the Choi bar anyway. I go like this because I'm trying to get ready to swim for K, and now I find the arm again. And now we're right back to that arm crush. Okay. Any questions from any guard? Half guard, butterfly, open guard, 2-on-1, swim. For the initial part, initial contact, you still have to like act like you're a kid that's like hugging their parent's leg. Like all 4 limbs hug the ankle, and then the parent walks around and the kid's on the leg, and it's really cute. That position, that's how you want to feel when you initially are playing on your back in guard. So as I'm here, I'm on my back, and I'm all 4 limbs shot out, my feet hooked, and I caught, just to stop their initial momentum. And now that I feel them with all 4 limbs, my sense of touch is quicker than my sight is. And now I can start hunting, and now I'm immediately firing in, and now we have our whole sequence. Okay. Questions? Any guard? No. Let's give this a shot. On 3. 1, 2, 3. So I briefly showed it, but I'll say it in a little bit more detail now. Is this the Choi bar is referencing like the arm crush, and then you turn towards their feet and you throw your leg over the top. So if he comes down to his knees, so usually people when they reference the Choi, it's because I got an arm crush and my leg is here, and then somehow I pushed them away and I fired my leg over. But once I get here, this position people reference as the arm saddle. And the reason for that is because there's so many different moves you can do here. And I showed them before, but the first one, as you initially caught the position, their thumb's gonna be on your neck. So if you can catch by lifting your arm up, and then you can roll their elbow, and then you can pull down and finish this arm crush, by all means, finish the arm crush. And most people, when they feel that, they turn their thumb down towards their feet. And immediately, I can just pinch my knees here, but I gotta make sure I'm facing their hips, grab their thumb, and I have the arm bar. When they bend their arm at 90 to resist this, like this is the perfect position to do a Kimura. So I switch my grip, I go Kimura, and I step on their hip. I pull my stomach over their elbow, and then I start leg pressing for the actual power. You don't wanna be way out here, trying to pull like with your like neck, and then the arm is very disconnected. You wanna actually do like a sit-up, like a crunch, and put your sternum and your stomach on their elbow, and then just leg press. And now right there, he tapped. I didn't even start twisting yet. The pressure is just so crazy, okay? Even when people have their hands connected, if he connects his hands, right here, I have my Kimura grip, my foot goes on the hip, and then I do my sit-up. I try to think about putting my stomach up over, and now I start hipping in, and he let go, and he was gonna tap right there, okay? And finally, whether you did it or they did it, if you tuck your leg, or if they just start dropping this hip, I'm gonna go immediately onto my forehead, get my hips up and over, and as I'm doing this, you can release with one of your hands if you need to help you. I'm gonna back step, but I like to do it specifically right here, where they're here on their hip. And now I back step, and now I'm on their back. So now, this sequence can be like an aggressive back take sequence if you want it to be, all right? I caught my position, and now I'm running through the sequence. I try to submit him by flaring my elbow up, and as he feels the Kimura, he starts to straighten his arm, and now I'm trying to arm crush. He turns the thumb down as I fire over the top. I'm pulling on the arm bar. He bends, I go Kimura. I sit my stomach on him, and then I put my foot on him, or the other direction. I can put my foot on him, and then sit my stomach, and now I just leg press to finish. And if I tuck it and they go here, I put my forehead down, my butt goes up, and now I hit a big back step. And now we run the whole arm saddle sequence. Okay. Any questions on any of these? A little bit more in-depth versions of those. So I personally only like to do the back step when people drop their hip, but you can tuck your leg in and they just stay in turtle and you back step onto them in turtle. Okay. Any questions on these? No. They all make sense. Yeah. Okay. With that, with those submissions, when we're here, the other version of this is the more common way that I teach the Choi bar, which is because they grabbed your head. So the benefit is that we can force this. So if you want to play Choi bars, you just 2-on-1. We just start bringing your knee up, 2-on-1, your knees up. Make sure there's like a good bend in the arm, and you just start going for Choi bars. It's super simple to do. But the other variation is if they ever collar tie me, they grab my head. Now this one especially, I really need to focus on rolling their shoulder forward. And we'll rotate a tiny bit here for this one. I really need to focus on rolling their shoulder blade forward and their shoulder forward. So as I reach through, because they're grabbing my head, I'm actually gonna intentionally right now my shoulder's on the outside of his wrist. I'm gonna try to slide it under him as I do this. And as I shoot through, now immediately my underhook goes palm away. So the back of my wrist goes on their rear delt. And then I go wrist over wrist or fingertips over my forearms, okay? And now I use my knee shield on the hip to stretch them out, and then I lever my elbow in their jaw to replace it with my shin. And now we're right back to our whole arm saddle sequence, depending on what happens, okay? So we can play our game here and fight for Choi. We can also allow someone to reach too deep, and then we're gonna intentionally crunch in wrist over wrist. The underhook is palm away. I like fingertips down. My elbow's not up here, it's under their jaw. I start curling my half guard leg and extending my knee shield. And the second I feel them kind of stretched, I flare my elbow into their throat to make room for my knee. And now I pull down on their rear delt and I extend my knee, and now we're right back to our arm saddle or the Choi bar. Questions on this?
Are you able to put that sequence into motion from someone having a crossface on you?
So here's the only problem. If he has a crossface and an underhook on me, the problem is that this arm isn't on this side of the neck. That's the only problem here, right? Because I could catch the shoulder, but this is where he wants it. So that doesn't really do anything for us. If he backs up 3 or 4 inches and I'm able to fight my forearm in front, it's on. See how I went from the bite here, I pushed him, I put my knee shield in, I curled my half guard leg and I stretched my knee shield out to make him uncomfortable, and now I lift my elbow in their throat. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Came up fast. And then my shin goes there. Yeah. So, by the way, you will elbow and knee people in the face a fuck ton with this, which is a plus, right? That's good. So, does that make sense, Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, you know the row drag?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I drive into the head or into the wrist, into the fingertips, and then I pull down and outward. Right. So he's here. As he does this reverse collar tie, fantastic passing grip, by the way. I'm going to start stretching away so that there's a lot of pressure on his fingertips, and he starts pulling down almost a little harder. Now I'm going to throw my head towards his knee as I pop. And now look at, I push the wrist, and now we go right into our sequence. Does that make sense? Yeah. But yeah, it's a row drag. If you guys don't know the row drag, it's when you're knee cutting and you lean on their knee shield and he frames. He's doing a good job framing. I put my chin on him and I really try to put pressure on the wrist, and then I back up. And you pop their arm here. And now you do knee cuts, Also, you can do Choi bars. I could put my knee on his neck and fall straight backwards. And now I'm into the Choi bar sequence. Okay. Questions on any of the arm saddle positions or how to enter it when they cross face you?
So let's say we're in like half guard again, but rather than having a low knee shield, I do something to force you with like an outside knee. How are you looking to like swim the knee back in front?
Initially, I will fight hard for the 2-on-1 that we talked about, that we warmed up with, and I'll crunch, and I'll look for my bite, and my bite here, I'm gonna try to force this out to triangle you. Yeah, you see what I mean? Yeah. So the bite is so powerful that it can lead to other things. But again, I'm gonna use that 2-on-1. That's why I wanted to start with this. I usually go a little more in depth on the actual Choi itself. I think it's better to go a little more with the entry, because if I can get you guys into it, we can just adjust it later if we need to. Does that make sense though? Okay. Any other questions from any of the arm saddles or when they club your head? Because now we're gonna punish people for clubbing our head, for touching our neck and head. No? All right, let's get it. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Questions on the Choi bar? I lost like 12 minutes at the very beginning, so I'm gonna have to move on to K guard, but this is the last thing. So yeah. Unbelievably important. It's the most important part for especially for if you're a smaller person doing it to a bigger person, you have to get your knee in their neck. The whole reason the technique works is because we're 2-on-1ing their arm with our arms, which is okay for holding it, but as a small person, it's gonna be hard to sub them. So now we gotta get our legs involved. So the shin in the neck is the legs involved part. The main things for making sure that you can actually get your shin in their neck is once you reach and you have your bite, is to think about this elbow lifting their jaw up and your knee stretching them. My knee shield stretches and then my elbow lifts their jaw. That's what gives me room across their stomach to just pull my knee all the way to my own chest. And then I slip. And immediately I start trying to roll that shoulder into my belly button. And then I pinch my knee on the back of their shoulder. And now we're into our whole arm saddle series. Yeah, it's really the elbow, like right in their trachea, and then your knee in their stomach, just like stretch them out. But you got to have your legs on them. You have to. Yeah. Any other questions on the Choi bar before I talk about K guard and then how they kind of work as like a golden duo? No. Okay, so K guard is very special, the same way as the Choi bar, where it's very easy to enter. It's super easy because it's actually an outside leg position. What that means is my feet are on the outside of his hips. Okay? Very similar to what I talked about at the very beginning, right? Where I was like, hey, when you're on your back, the first couple seconds, I'm just like reaching out and like squeezing him with everything. And then I'm turning up, there's my 2-on-1, now we're into our Choi. So very similarly, when I'm gonna play K guard, I literally, as we initially make contact, I start hand fighting and pummeling, and anytime I'm feeling for this, people when they get ready to pass to get really close to you, one of their legs, one of their shins kind of jams your thigh and your butt. And the second that happens, immediately my feet drop down to like from pinching the hip, and they start sliding as they're pinching. And then you end up in whatever guard you end up in. For me, I ended up in De La Hiba just because of where we stepped. Okay? And now I can start playing positions like K guard. But my first like contact needs to be that like pummel with my feet as I grip fight, and then I gotta find my feet on my partner, and I'm squeezing between my ankles. It's like I'm stretching my legs, and then I'm bringing my ankles together, and now I'll just slide down. And again, right here, I could go for my 2-on-1, and we could enter Choi. And the next step to this is K guard. So now to do K guard, from whatever position I'm in, I'm gonna slide my feet intentionally to the hips, and you can use your feet on the hips and a little bit of your core and a little bit of pressing your feet into their hips to do this rotation. And this is how we play K guard and hunt Choi bars aggressively, is this ability to rotate where I'm kind of like doing this like bicycle pressure where I pinch my legs and then I bicycle pressure. Okay? 2-on-1 Choi. So now, the next step of the series, I go 2-on-1 Choi, he rips away. What do I have? The K guard. So I'm gonna go under, My preference is to go gable grip at the kneecap behind it. That's my preference. This is like best case scenario. It's okay if it's a little different, but don't use like your fingertips. Don't be dumb. All your fingers together, gable grip. You can come down and hook elbow deep at the ankle. This works also, but it's harder to break them all the way down. But as I'm pinching and as I twist, I start hunting my 2-on-1. And the reason for that is because sometimes when I want to play K-guard, if I reach and I just reach for the leg, and this guy's a really good passer, he might start pushing my legs down like while I'm, and then they crush you with some crazy like leg drag or knee cut. So I kind of like the twist into the Choi, because now they're not thinking guard pass anymore. They're like, oh dude, screw it. And now I collect. I connect my gable, my knee drops inside their knee. Gable, and then I pull their kneecap all the way to my belly button. My feet kind of grip his hips. I'm kind of squeezing my feet into their hips here. And I'm curling down with my feet along with pulling their kneecap into my stomach. The second we get here, everything depends on what you're allowed to do. If you're allowed to do heel hooks, I always recommend going to the backside 50-50 for heel hooks. If you're not allowed to, I always recommend chasing the back with either the matrix or like the 70-30 passover. So basically once you get here, this becomes another position, just like the Choi bar, where we had like 4 or 5 options. Same thing right here. There's knee bars, calf slices, heel hooks, back takes. So it's what are you allowed to do? If you're only allowed to chase the back, then here we go. As I come here, I start to stretch with my butterfly hook. That's hooking on his hip where my knee is under his leg. And I'm doing this to help get the weight off this leg. And now I'm gonna take the back of my hand and swim under their ankle, and I pull it to my far armpit. And now I'm retracting this leg, and this knee slides inside at the same time. And now I'm chasing my partner's back. If they stay down, I'm just gonna wrestle and chase the back, okay? So initially, what are we doing? I'm kind of doing this to catch my partner. I'm on my back. I catch to stop him, and then I do that grip. Now I have my feet on my partner, and now I just choose a side. I fight for hands on whatever that side is because I want my Choi, whether I pass it onto the neck or I weave, right? There's 2 options. Passing it to the neck, or you 2-on-1 and then you weave through. And now we're doing the whole Choi. He rips away, and now I go to the leg. I drop that knee underneath, and now my feet start squeezing his hips really tight as I gable grip behind the knee. I pull their knee all the way into my stomach. And again, if all we can do is back take, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna start extending to get their weight forward, and then I swim the back of my hand under the ankle, and I'm passing it over. And now my shins slide as I extend. It depends on whether they go forward or backwards. Because he went forward, I start to do a technical get up while I hug the thigh, and I'm chasing the back. But now we have like an aggressive back chasing, like almost wrestling sequence. And again, everyone can do the back chase. So this is the traditional back chase, is the passing the foot over. Guard retention for 1 second, pinch. I can twist. I can also twist with grips to help me get ready for my Choi. I'm firing on, they rip. Here's our K. My knee drops inside their knee. Gable, pull them down. I'm here. If you want to break them down farther, there's actually quite a few options. One of them is you grab your partner's wrist and you step on their armpit, and now it's kind of a guarantee that they're going to be down. And I'm flaring my arm. I'm extending my arm as I flare my elbow up to lift their toes off the mat, and I'm passing. And now I'm just trying to keep connection any way that I can, cupping ankles and trying to hook behind their legs to sit up. And now because they're still forward, I tuck one leg and I just start going crazy wrestling, chasing the back. Okay? But this is the neutral, like, this works in any tournament, any rank. Children can do this. They can do both of these. Okay? Any questions on chasing the back or how we enter it? I think the entering part's important.
You want me to sit my weight back this time so you can show that? Sorry.
So again, I'm knees to chest. When they make contact, I make contact. I just got to get my feet on him to stop him. And then I pinch, And now I just choose a side, and I do this rotation. Right? I will also lead it like with my shoulder to help build like a little momentum, so it's a little less like abs, like this is all abs as I'm twisting here. And then I use more of my feet, and then I use my feet, my abs, and I do like this shoulder extension, and it rotates you super quickly. And now I'm hunting this arm aggressively until they rip away. And now my knee drops inside, my feet are kind of squeezing the hips. I gable grip behind the knee. I pull them down. If I still need to break them down, you can grab their wrist and start stepping on their armpit. You can kick them in the butt, and you can squeeze your heel in the back of their thigh and kick them down. But once they're down, I start to extend to get weight off the leg, and I swim. And as I swim, initially this leg's inside. I gotta get this knee inside my own knee. And now I'm crab ride chasing. And it just depends on how they run. Like the other ones, he went forward, so I had to wrestle up. This one, as I extended, he came back, so I set him into my lap, and now we have our hooks. Okay. And this is the back chase from K-Guard. Questions? Let's get it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's regroup. Any questions on the initial entry of K-Guard before I talk about options from K-Guard? Any questions on the initial entry? Questions? No. Okay, so now options, right? So I showed the passing the leg over back take, which is the one that I use the most. This makes more sense in the gi, but when you initially enter K-Guard, as you pull their knee to your stomach, you kind of stretch them away from you, and you intentionally hook your foot behind their knee, like you're gonna do a calf slice, which we can do, and then you start flaring your foot out to intentionally slip. But this one's usually done because the belt exists. So I personally don't like to do the matrix as much in nogi because I feel like I accidentally kick people away from me. And that's why I showed the leg passing one. But when I come here and I break them down, you totally can, as this leg's on my stomach, again, you can pull your knee to your chest, hook your foot on the hip, and you flare your shin, and you get this good pressure, and you can throw your foot over the back of their calf, and you can triangle your legs and sit up. And to do calf slices, you don't want your leg to be deep, you want your foot to be shallow. So the top of my ankle goes, my knee flares, and I'm rolling my shin down towards the mat while their foot's trapped on my hip. I sit up as I grab their hips, and I drive my hips into them. Okay? Again, the calf slice is good, it works. I think it's better to chase heel hooks and chase the back with passing the leg over than doing the matrix in nogi, and because you guys are all in nogi. Just so you know, it's kind of difficult to hold on. But once I break them down, I'm extending so that this leg kind of gets lower into my lap as I throw my shin and my calf over the back of their leg. And now I'm kind of just releasing the leg as I start to strip their foot to the mat. If the foot stays, I can calf slice. If it comes all the way out, and it comes like down, I'm gonna chase the back. But again, if it stays, let's turn a little bit. If it stays, I'm gonna make sure that my leg's not deep, my foot's shallow, and now I start turning down, and now I'm coming up onto my partner. I'm just gonna connect to their hips and climb up their back as high as I can, okay? So the matrix back take / calf slice. See how I kicked it through and then I sat up to the hips? So I'm stripping through my partner here. As I break him down, I'm kicking over and I'm intentionally swiping to the outside. See how I passed his leg into the crab ride and now we're wrestling? Or I can intentionally not strip it through like that and I can go to the calf slice. Where as I break him down, I catch a triangle. Sorry. Okay, but this is the matrix back take. Way easier in the gi, and I do it more in the gi, but because we're all in no gi. You can do the matrix, just be aware you are kind of kicking them away. If you guys are real sweaty, you might have just like kicked them fully away from you. So personally, not my favorite in no-gi. That's why I said pass the leg over is my preferred, but the matrix is super dope though. It's actually a little quicker too. So, because all you have to do is break them down and you throw your foot over and you just immediately sit up like that. You gable grip, pull their leg down. As you throw your foot over, you just hook between their legs, and then I turn my leg out as I extend. And that just passes their leg through your lap, and now you sit up on the back chase. Okay. One more time for each. I turn on my K-guard. I pull the kneecap all the way down. I start to extend and stretch him away from me. If I need to like step on him to get him to go further, then I can. And now I throw my leg over. And now depending on whether I want the back chase or the calf slice, it changes what I do, but my foot's gonna go between his legs. So initially I go between, and now if I want the back chase, I'm just gonna hook and flare until his foot comes out. Now I'm wrestling up as I chase the back, okay? And if I want the calf slice, I stop early, I triangle choke, and then I go shin and knee down. I'm trying to point my shin and my toes down towards the mat as I hip in when I grab their hips. Okay, any questions on the matrix back take or the calf slice that comes with it?
What calf slice would be that on any level of competition, right?
No, and that's what I was talking about. It's why I was saying the back chasing stuff is what I wanted to spend the most time on, even though leg locks are the best from K-guard. I'm going to show some, but the back chasing stuff you can do at every level, which is why I want to say that. It depends on the tournament. Some tournaments allow calf slice at white belts. Most, it's not until purple. Yeah. Some, it's not until brown and black. So. Questions on the matrix back take. As you break them down, that leg that you were swinging over the top kind of strips them away. Or you strip and then lock your triangle and you come up. Any last second questions? Matrix? Nope, let's get it on 3. 1, 2, 3. So, obviously, disclaimer, be very aware, heel hooks are dangerous. They come on quickly. Tap early, tap often. Grip them firmly, but apply them slowly, okay? This specific heel hook, belly down, backside 50-50, to me is one of the worst in jiu-jitsu. So do it slowly, but also, again, make sure you're doing it firm because we want to be able to break if we need to, but we don't want to, right? We want to keep each other safe, forever training partners, all that good jazz. So once I get here, okay, I'm going to throw my leg over. Now, this has changed a little bit over the time that I've been playing K-guard of how I do this. And so I'm here, I break him down, I get my leg over right here. So right here, my foot's hooking his hip. So my ankles are flexed down over here and my leg is over. Now, the first one is I rear naked choke the leg and I use my ear and my elbow squeezing and my other hand to hold on to this leg as tight as I can. Because what I'm going to do is tuck my top leg through and then I lock a triangle choke and I stretch my partner out. I'm hipping into him the side of his knee right now. Okay, I don't want to do it too hard because I don't want to hurt people because you can. Just right here, if you just squeeze on this and hip in, you can hurt people, so be careful. But I stretch him out. I stretched and I made a good connection with this rear naked choke and a grip on the toes. When I'm ready to go, I'm going to start picking the foot up into my top armpit and then leaning my chest forward. Now, I like to go belly down and then I reach back and the back of my wrist where my watch would be catches their heel. And now I put my nose on the mat and I connect my hands. I pull his heel into my chest as tight as I can. And then you start hipping in belly down to this, okay? I'm gonna super slowly apply it now. I go here and start hipping in and right there he tapped, okay? But I would keep hipping into that from this belly down position because I want gravity to work with me, okay? So when we're here, I catch, I turn the corner, I step through, and now I'm gonna lock a triangle choke on my partner's quad. And as I'm doing this, I'm gonna slide my hands up to a rear naked choke where I hug and I grab my shoulder and his toes and my chin goes over everything. And I hip into their side of their leg and stretch them out. And then I pick their foot up, pulling their heel to their butt, and I sit forward. Okay, and now I start looking for my heel hook. Part of the reason that I do this is because as I reach for this heel hook, people will start to extend their leg and point their toes to defend the heel hook. And I'll lift my hips up and adjust this belly down ankle lock. And then you start hipping into the ankle lock. Okay? So this whole setup becomes heel hooks and ankle locks. As I fire over, I turn and I switch and I stretch my partner. I pick the foot up, I sit forward, and now I catch my backside 50-50 heel hook, and I start hipping in belly down. My nose is on the ground when I finish that. My head's on the ground. If I start to do this, and they start to extend their leg, I put my nose down, I throw my ass in the air, and then I readjust, and then I hip into a belly down ankle lock. Okay, so we got our heel hook and our ankle lock. The thing that I've been doing more recently is as I come to the backside and I do this, instead of weaving this top leg through, is I come over and I step on the back of people's legs. And this is because from here I'll pick this foot up and then everybody back steps and I follow it with the bottom of my foot and then I pass my foot over and then I end up in the honey hole. And now I'm here working for my inside heel hooks from this position. So I'll show this again. So as I am here and I step through, I like to step on the back of my partner's far knee. And then I'll put both of my feet there. I'm doing prayer feet. My feet are together. And now I burrito grip their ankle and I start pushing it around my thigh and they start to back step. And I follow that with my feet. And now I start to pull my hips in and shove their leg on my thigh. And I start looking for the inside heel hook from here. Same thing, if I want to finish this, I'm going to put my forehead down, lift my hips up, and I'm going to hip in, okay? So backside 50-50 heel hook, or the one that I've been doing more often now, which is putting both of my feet on the back of the far knee, and then they back step and I go finish the honey hole. So, grip, turn, break my partner down, and now I'm going to triangle choke his quad, okay? So I throw my leg over, and now I'm thinking triangle choke the quad, rear naked. I stretch my partner out, and then I pick the foot up, and then I go belly down, heel hook. If I go here and he extends, I throw my butt in the air, toes down, and then I readjust this ankle lock, and I start hipping in belly down, okay? And then what I've been doing more recently, again, as I turn the corner, is both my feet are gonna go to the back of the far knee. So 1, and then I step on it to pull my other one out. 2. Now I burrito grip the leg and they pass over and now I'm in the saddle. Now I'm here looking for inside heel hooks. I put my forehead down, lift my hips up. We have another inside heel hook. Okay, yeah.
So you're forcing the back step, basically?
They don't have to backstep. He could stay there, but most people when they feel K-guard now, they backstep immediately. And if you're not ready for it, you might end up in like double outside and it's like not a very good position if you're not used to it. Yeah. Questions on heel hooks from K-guard? Backside 50-50 or the honey hole or the saddle one? The prayer feet on the back of the far knee? Yeah.
Just what are you doing to address like the grip on your leg if they're like really aggressively like get that leg off of me type of thing?
Well, I'm going to hunt submissions here.
Okay.
Yeah, this is where, cool, yeah. So this is, the last, after we break up and drill this, the last 15 is going to be how we combine the Choi bar K-guard and how we punish people for touching our legs. So, any last second questions on heel hooks? No. All right, let's get it on 3. 1, 2, 3. Any questions on heel hooks? So the first one is the triangle on the leg and you stretch it out and then you stay there. If they don't do anything, and they just try to resist, then you're gonna go stay there backside 50-50 and you'll finish a belly down heel hook. But if they wanna back step, that's when I do those prayer feet. I put my feet together on the back of the far knee. And then as they back step, I follow them into the honey hole or the saddle, and now, again, we have inside heel hooks, okay? So questions on that before I talk about how these two kind of come together in a happy family? No? Okay. Because of the time, I'm probably going to show this, and then you guys will drill, and that'll be the last thing. And so bear with me. I'm going to show a couple things, only a couple of them in depth, and I'm just going to skim over a couple of them just because there's so many different options. All right, so open guard. I'm going to hunt K-guard. I'm going to hunt Choi bars. I'm going to hunt whatever makes contact with me first, okay? Sometimes I'll pass people's guard, and I'll stand straight up. They're on their back. I stand straight up. I don't touch them with my hands, and I walk up to them, and I jam my shin into like basically one of their butt cheeks. So go ahead and walk forward, just jam your shin into one of my thighs. So yeah, before I really made contact with my hands, I kind of like jammed my legs like this. If someone does that and their hands are kind of retracted, immediately I'm gonna do the pinch, slide down and catch, right? I pinch with the outside of my ankles, and then I kind of like slide down the body and I catch. And then the second I catch, once I feel like I have control, I'm gonna step on my partner and move my hips out of the way. And now I'm gonna start scooping and fighting for K-guard. So when I'm initially on my back, if he steps in and I feel the first thing that made contact was this, I'm gonna catch all of it, and now I'm gonna move my hips out of the way, and then I go back to that pinch, and now we're sliding into K-guard. So you pull De La Riva from standing, by all means, you can be here, catch, foot on the hip, and then you're just twisting into your K-guard. But that's because this is what made contact with me. Now if he backs up, and he bends over at the hips and he makes contact here, I will always initially like retain guard. Just for the first second, retain guard, and now I'm doing my 2-on-1s, whichever version of 2-on-1ing, as my feet control the distance, my feet and my shins for my Choi bars. And now if he rips away from the Choi, my foot's already there. And now we have our K-guard. So now it becomes, what did he make contact with? His hands or his legs? Whatever it is, I grab. If his leg makes contact with me, I make contact with his leg. If his hands make contact with me, I make contact with his hands. And then immediately, whichever one he gave me, I attack that with all 4 limbs now, basically, is what I'm doing. And if they make contact with all 4, you just get to pick and choose which one you feel is better at the moment or whichever one you're better at, okay? But this is the beauty of the position, is anytime someone comes in and they make a connection, I make a connection, and now I'm adjusting into my position. And if he makes a connection with his upper body, I make a connection with mine, and then immediately I'm here, and now I'm looking for these aggressive 2-on-1s to these arm crushes that lead to people escaping often, and then that leads to me just going to K-guard anyways, okay? Any questions on it from open guard? K-guard and Choi bars, open guard. Now usually De La Riva is the thing that happens, so you put your feet on their hip and you kind of move your butt to the side, and now you're into K-guard, okay? If they bent over too much, we fight for our 2-on-1s. There we go. Any questions on this before I move on? No. Okay, the other one is when they knee cut and they're doing like they're in this position. When you defend knee cuts, my leg curls backwards on their calf, and then my shin rises to the back of their knee, and my toes point towards the ceiling, and I hook the hip. Okay, so let's 180 this, just so everyone can see that angle. So I'll do it without this leg. I'm here, I curl, and then my foot goes straight towards the ceiling and my toes point upwards. So initially I clamp on the back of their calf like this, just back heeling, and then I drag my leg up, and now my toes are pointing upwards. And now to prevent, because this is like a compromised leg position, both of my arms are framing, and my secondary leg is either framing with a foot or with a knee. This knee could be over their bicep to strip their grip away. The foot could be here, but this is the position I'm holding, and I'm gonna stretch my partner out, and then I go feet on the hips, and then we immediately go for our K-guard. So anytime people knee cut, so he knee cuts this direction, I'm catching and pointing upwards, I'm stretching to get the weight off this near side leg, and then I remove my foot and my feet, and they immediately go to the hips, and now look at the position we're at. We're into our whole sequences, okay? Same thing when I'm here and I start going for anything like this and he rips the leg backwards, the arms become accessible. And now we have an upper-lower game to play where as I attack the upper body, he pulls away, and then he gives me the lower body. If he pulls away with the lower body, that means he had to replace it with his upper. And it becomes this infinite back and forth. And this works from every position. So I just showed it from open guard. If we were talking about closed guard, I can try to 2-on-1 fight until I chicken wing my partner a little, reach for my shoulder clamp. This is great. I'm going for my Choi bars. And he postures up and rips away. And now I open my guard, I frame on the armpit, and now I'm in the K-guard. And now I'm on the back side, and now it just depends on what I want to do from here. Okay, but he ripped away his upper body, so I just opened up my closed guard to go to K-guard, where I opened, I either frame the neck or the cross lat, but it's across the body, and then I scooped. And I can only do this because initially he was low because I had this. He ripped away and postured up, so I push on him And immediately my feet pinch, and then my knees pinch together as I scissor my legs. And now we're into our whole K-guard sequence. Okay? From half, this position's crazy. This is usually where Choi bars hang out the most, and then K-guard is right there with it. But for me, this is where I play this sequence the most. And it comes off of 2-on-1s and arm drags on this forearm is where all my real setting up is happening at. So initially we're here, I make sure I have a knee shield that's trying to semi-deal with this arm and this hip, and I'm fighting for a 2-on-1. Or I'm fighting for, kind of twist a little bit more, or I fight for an actual arm drag grip. 2-on-1 or arm drag. Either way, when I make the grip, I'm gonna slide my knee either here, or at least higher into his chest. But it's gonna come off this low knee shield, 2-on-1 or arm drag, right? My knee slides, and now I'm into my sequences here. I'll fire through. There's this that I'll do where I'll pass it to the shoulder and immediately start attacking. But I really want to be, I'm here, he starts trying to pass guard, he starts playing. Usually people's hand naturally sits near this bottom leg and you're going to stuff it. There's my 2-on-1, there's my arm drag. I stretch my partner out, and now I'm just slipping into Choi bars. Again, if I go here and he rips the arm and shoulder back, now I dive on the leg and my knee slides as high as I can to my chest. Now I extend my kneecap away while I do the K-guard grip. And now we fire into K-guard. We're right back to our whole sequence. So half guard is really where the money is in my opinion, because my knee shield is holding this side at bay momentarily. I'm here holding my partner away from me until I can find this or this. And if I make a wrist grip again, if he tucks his elbow to his hip, I will double up on the grip and push it into his belly button. He's doing a good job with his elbow. I can't move his elbow, but I can move his hand. So I push his wrist to his belly button, and then I push it up, and now there's my bite. And now we're right back to it, and then he rips away here, and now I dive on the leg. And now I gable grip, my knees to my chest, I point my kneecap away diagonally, and now again, I make some space, and now I fire my leg over into K-guard. Now we have everything that we had in the sequence from standing. Okay. Any questions on how they kind of work? Upper, lower. If you grab one, they have to replace it with the other one. Okay? If I'm standing and he's on his back, right? If I do this in like kind of like a slow-mo, if I step forward with my left leg, he can scoop it and play K-guard. Okay? If I step forward with my left leg and he starts to scoop it and I block his head, he can transition to the Choi bar. If I rip out of the Choi bar, my leg is there. So this is where it becomes like a spammable upper lower, upper lower, upper lower. But I'm using all four limbs for one or the other. I'm like using all four limbs to K-guard, or I'm using all four of my limbs to Choi bar him, if that makes sense. Right? It's all your limbs together that works with these positions. It's not really like sometimes there's certain moves where it feels like your lower body's just locked in and you do stuff with your upper body. This, I'm trying to think about like, attack all four limbs on your leg, attack all four of my limbs on your shoulder. And that's how this should feel every single time. Upper, lower, okay? Any questions on that upper, lower concept? No. The last little bit of info is when you're reaching for Choi bars and K-guards, there's arm bars and triangles. So anytime I'm doing this, I'm trying to do this, when the near side hand is pushing on my leg, I can Choi. When the far hand pushes on that leg, it's gonna be hard to do the Choi. I could pull my knee to my chest and grip and twist around the corner, I could, or I could just keep hunting arm bars by now diagonally extending my arm, and now I pull my knee all the way up to my chest. I grip their elbow and I pull, and now we fire into these armpit arm bars. Okay? So if I'm on my right hip, which is the hip I usually play on, and they touch my right leg, I am doing regular Choi. 2-on-1, arm drag grip, hand to belly button, all this stuff. I can arm drag them and slip into Choi's. I'm doing Choi on this one. When it's the far one, Now he's trying to disrupt my ability to play Choi bar and K guard because he knows I need that leg. Now I'm swinging it up to my face, going over his wrist and pulling the elbow. And now I'm turning into him as I hip into this, or I'm throwing my leg all the way over the head as you hip into it. Okay? If they disrupt this leg now with not that hand, but the near side hand, now I go under and I scoop and I flare. Now I step on the hip and we have triangle chokes. Okay? So, like I said, I'm not going to be able to go into those ones in depth. There's only so much you can show. But any questions on how they work, upper, lower, or when to grab them? I spent a little more time, I think, on this seminar than I usually do teaching in like regular classes on the setups. Because I think if you guys get the setups down and you just keep catching everybody with the setup, we can just fix your finishing mechanics later. But I feel like if you don't get the setup stuff, then it's hard to get to the end goal if you don't understand the setup stuff, the hand fighting, right? So any questions on when to do upper, when to do lower, any variation, any guard you want to know how to do it from?
So hyper specifically for the guard, when you show the full guard example, you attack the Choi bar, they pull back, and so you go for K guard.
Mm-hmm.
If they sit on their butt, and that's where I'm generally asking, if they sit back on their feet heavy, are the knees still able to move to that?
So you're saying he sits backwards like this, am I still able to go to K guard?
Yes.
So yeah, it's actually easier because see this? This is kind of like a stupid self-defense trick. Is like if someone sits on their heels really far back, it's hard to hold your closed guard. So you just let it go. You put your foot on their hip, and you use your shin and your knee here, and then you do this, and then they can't punch you in the face with either arm. It's like a self-defense trick, right? Feet on the hips, and I'm like 2-on-1ing this, like super gripping this. Very similarly, if he sits back like that, I can palm their chest, their neck, bring that knee up, and now I will cross grip this to make sure I don't get cross-faced, and then I start scooting under. And if he cross-faces me, I'm gonna rip onto our arm crushes. And if he pulls back out of the cross-face, I go under, and then I twist, and again, I need to drop my knee inside his knee. And now I just gable, I pull my heels to my butt, and then I extend. And now I'm on mine. Right? It just depends on what I want to do. I didn't even show you guys the knee bar on the far side. But again, there's so many different techniques. I had to pull a bunch of info out of stuff to make sure that I could fit in the important stuff. To me, the setups, 2-on-1, scoop, knee shield, the gable grip on the shoulder anytime someone touches your head. Now we can scoop the leg. If they block it, you scoop the arm. If they rip it away, you scoop the leg. Back and forth and back and forth. Okay. Any questions? K-guard, Choi bar, overall? No. All right, let's get it on 3. 1, 2, 3. This is the last thing. Y'all can drill, and then when you want to leave, you can leave.